It's not about how much we lost. It's about how much we have left. We're the Avengers. We gotta finish this. You trust me?
It's been more than a 10-year journey, but Avengers Endgame, it's finally here, okay? And the stakes, well, they have never been higher. CBC film critic Eli Glasner has been keeping an eye on the Marvel movie universe for more than a decade, and you could argue it's almost like he's part of it. Check this out. Isn't that fantastic? I mean, there he is beside some of Marvel's most famous characters, and since the beginning, he's been here to review Marvel's big movies. I need to do that in just the right tone. He's been here to review. But 11 years, Eli, and some of you may know it all started with Iron Man, hence the t-shirt.
There we go.
Today, everything kind of draws to a close with Avengers Endgame. It's already broken ticket sales, as I understand it, but it's a 3-hour film. That's a lot of sitting in one seat.
A lot of sitting.
So
don't get the giant pop.
That's right, exactly. I mean, while it is the end game, perhaps we should do the start game. You know, where it all began.
Well, the start of the end is the end, but what you see are the Avengers fighting their most fearsome foe yet, failure. And so that's the thing. I mean, they are truly tested because they lost.
Right.
The big giant purple mean guy Thanos, he got the power glove, he did the snap, ash in the wind. And so let's have Black Widow with a slightly more sophisticated summary for us.
He wiped out 50% of all living creatures.
We lost, all of us. We lost friends. We lost family. We lost a part of ourselves.
So there you go. I mean, they're not the Avengers anymore. They're the Avenged. They're only half a team. Some are around. You got Thor, you got the Raccoon, you have Black Widow, sad Captain America, but the mood is dark and dour and oppressive. And the film is kind of wallowing in that for a bit. Now, of course, anything can happen. It's the comics, and human glow stick, Captain Marvel, Brie Larson, she returns, and she's ready, right? She has the power. She has the determination. She wants to go find Thanos, set things right, but I think as a sign of just what they've experienced, there's a hesitancy there. Let's take a look.
If we do this, how do we know it's going to end any differently than it did before?
Because before you didn't have me.
Hey, new girl, everybody in this room is about that superhero life. And if you don't mind my asking, where the hell have you been all this time?
There are a lot of other planets in the universe. And unfortunately, they didn't have you guys.
So not exactly united, and here the challenge for the Avengers is moving on. And so you see characters change, you see them evolve. Some retreat into a more brutal, harsher version of themselves. You might have seen Hawkeye trying to rock a very aggressive haircut. Others have a taste of domestic life they never could have enjoyed in their avenging days. And I will say, at the outset, it is kind of slow, a little sluggish, a little indulgent, but I think the point is that the writers really want what happened to matter. Right? They are going to, that happened. We need to contend. We need to come to terms with that before we move on.
Speaking of moving on, without spoiling anything, because nobody wants that, give me a hint of where things are going.
So the present situation is a mess. I mean, Earth is even eerie. Like half of all the birds are gone. So it's quiet. So where do you go? What do you do next? Well, the answer is they go backwards. And without revealing the details of this kind of metaphysical treasure hunt, the brilliance of this plan is that it allows the writers and the directors, the Russo brothers, to celebrate where we've been. I mean, look at that. 22 films. They did that thing that I love about comic books so much. Connected continuity, all these interlocking stories that brought us up to this point. Well, now they have an opportunity to go back and pick certain moments, certain junctures, certain kind of choices in that Marvel mythos and re-examine them, revisit them. But this isn't just a greatest hits. This is actually seeing those moments from fresh eyes, from a different perspective. Sometimes it's comedic effect. Let's just enjoy Hulk, classic Hulk going smashy, smashy, or what does Star-Lord really look like when he's doing his groovalicious Indiana Jones thing if you're not actually plugged into the soundtrack? But it's also about letting certain characters continue to evolve. Thor, for example, you look at what Chris Hemsworth has done. When he first arrived, okay, hunky space doofus. I don't think everyone loved him necessarily.
I did.
But then he flexed his comedic muscles, right? He really showed us how funny he was. And then the writers gave him so much more to work with. So here, when we see Thor, he is playing the fool, but he is shattered. He is his most mortal yet, and it's a fine performance. And then the guy I'm wearing. I mean, where does Robert Downey Jr. end and Tony Stark begin, right? And I think not only has Iron Man rescued Downey's career, but also it's given him an opportunity. And so here we see Iron Man stop the swagger and actually he has a moment to be a little sweeter. There's our old Iron Man. He has a moment to actually, fittingly so, look at his path and come to terms with where he's been and how he got there.
You know, there are some nice character moments there, and I love some of those characters as well, but you also need that big bang. Is it there as we've come to expect it from Marvel?
So when I collected comic books, look, I still collect comic books, and I'm a sucker for a crossover because I love the big splash page, right? All those heroes drawn in one panel. There's a moment where that's exactly what the Russo brothers, the directors, attempt. I mean, sometimes the Avengers assemble. This is like the Avengers assembling the way assembling has never been assembled, like the ultimate. Let me just give you a little mood music. I'll show you some tape to set the tone.
You know your teams, you know your missions. No mistakes. No do-overs. Look out for each other. This is the fight of our lives. He's pretty good at that, right?
So is it over the top? It's bonkers. Absurdly so. Like, it's a lesson in be careful what you wish for, because I recently rewatched the original Avengers. Those were 6 heroes in the climax, so the choreography was on point. Here it's like 36, 47, 100. It does become movie mush at a certain point. It's almost too much to just process, and so some of your favorites are going to get pushed a little to the side. I mean, Wakanda might be forever, but this isn't exactly Black Panther's film. I think Captain Marvel is so powerful now, they don't know what to do with her, but also that means an opportunity for the people who started it all. And so those original heroes, they get that moment. And yes, you know, some tears might be shed, but in the end, I think it is a fitting way to send off those heroes who brought us here. And there's little codas, little vignettes at the end. Perfect. So in the end, my rating, 4.5 stars.